Hi, everybody. It is Stacey Cold here from the Business Success Network and magazine. And I'm loving today. I have not been this excited in a long time because I have got to interview some fantastic ladies already today. And I am now interviewing even more. So, excited. I am not going to take up any more of your time before getting the first lady on. Now, we have had a few technical issues tonight. I'm not going to lie. I thought I was doing well all day without having any, but it must be the kids back. Wi-Fi's gone crazy. Either that or we all just need a gin or a glass of wine. So I'm going to bring in the first lady, which is going to be Emma Louise.
Surprise!
I'm going to speak to you first. How are you, my lovely?
Not bad. How are you?
I'm good. So you are doing phenomenal things at the moment. So let's hear who you are. Let's tell the world, who are you? What are you up to? Where can they find you? All of the above.
What's your name and where do you come from?
Oh, I like that. Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, like a bit of sailor. So my name is Emma Louise Bizzari. I've been a nurse for a very long time now. I'm trying to fool everyone with my plats that I'm still young. And I am the founder of In-House Health. And what we do at In-House Health is we use a data-first approach to improve health, well-being, and financial outcomes for tech organizations and their people. And we do that through a workplace health and well-being program, which is called Meta. And basically, what we're trying to do is cut the crap with the fluffy stuff that is associated with organizations and well-being that they say doesn't work. And the reason it doesn't work is because it's not relevant to the health needs of their people. So we're trying to make it relative and engaging for people to do that. So yeah, that's a bit about us.
And do you find that you have a bit of a battle on your hands with kind of, who is it? Small businesses? Is it big corporates? Absolutely I know you just want a world domination.
Yeah.
You want everybody to have amazing health and wellness at work, and everyone should.
Yeah, so my business obviously does help everyone and anyone. However, for marketing and really just getting to know people, I focused on the tech sector, which is quite wide in itself. But our probably ideal client is between 20 and 100 employees, because when you go into those larger organizations, they have the time, they have the manpower, they have the budgets to be able to employ people, learning and development teams, big HR teams to implement these kind of things. Whereas it's the smaller ones that, as usual, tend to be left out of the mix, and it's them that are actually more impacted by one person being off than somebody that has 1,000 people in their workforce. So around 20 to 100 is our ideal. Obviously, as we grow, then hopefully the size of the organizations will grow. That's our aim, to help those organizations retain and attract those talented employees that so many tech companies are struggling with at the minute because of the digital skills gap. And things like that. So
God, we could talk all day about that, couldn't we? Tech and digital skills gap. It's a shame that I've got quite a few tech experts in and around this network, and I was hoping to try and get Sarah Windrum on today, who was up for one of these women to watch, and she's in the tech sector and she talks about change a lot, and actually you two would get on great, I think. So I'd have to connect you two, but there is loads to be done, isn't there? And do you find, I know we're talking about International Women's Day today. So what do you think about women? And we've had discussions about gender pay gaps. We've had all kinds of stuff. Does that affect? Do you think there's a difference between women's wellness and men's wellness in the?
So I think when you look at issues around childcare, so women that choose to have a family, I think they're always, I don't know if there's a direct correlation with it, but I certainly know as a parent myself, there's a lot of guilt with going back to work, and that does impact on some people's mental health and well-being and how they perceive their time at work being away from their families. There's a lot at the minute going on around menopause. So something ridiculous like only 5% of workplaces have a menopause policy, where it's openly spoken about. So women are getting to a certain age and then leaving jobs that they've in careers that they've taken a long time to build because they're not supported with what's going on in their life during menopause. So there are definitely some inequalities out there. You know, we also need appointments to go for regular checkups like breast screening and cervical screening, and things like that. So I think employers have to be aware of that. And, you know, yeah, we say don't book work time, but actually, you know, they're not very often, but it's important that people are encouraged to go for them rather than make excuses. I know lots of people don't turn up for those smear tests. Every time I used to run a smear clinic, I would know that if I had a 2-hour clinic, that half of that time would be spent catching up on my admin because people sadly just wouldn't turn up. So by providing opportunities for people to be preventative and get checks, then there's no excuse for them not to turn up then.
I love you, Emma, because you will literally talk about anything. And this is great, isn't it? But it is, isn't it? This is what we need more of. And we you know, we've had some really interesting conversations throughout the day today. But what I love is there's been such a range of women with different backgrounds, different businesses, different jobs, that, you know, there is literally no stone unturned. I'm slightly concerned that at the 8 o'clock one, I may have a glass of Prosecco. So who knows what we'll talk about during that one.
Well, I could talk all day about alcohol and how.
Well, I'd rather that than smear tests, to be honest.
Well, so. I'm not sure because I've not got much good to say about it. I think certainly since the start of the pandemic, alcohol consumption has increased by a third. I think it's become a really unhelpful coping strategy to stress and anxiety, which then makes it worse. So yeah, it's become a bit of a problem and a go-to.
You know what, that's really interesting, actually, because I'm someone that doesn't really drink in the house, but would go if and when, you know, being a parent is one of those things, isn't it? Wow, mum's allowed out. She's not coming home till silly o'clock in the morning. Let's let our hair down. But actually, like you say, with us not being able to go out, you know, we've had a sneaky gin at the weekend or whatever. So, yeah interesting.
That's allowed. It's just like people are, you know, they're drinking, you know, half a bottle of wine. Even, you know, if you drink half a bottle of wine a week, that's putting you just under 3 times over the recommended weekly limit. And people would think that, oh, it's just half a bottle of wine with my dinner and then watching the telly. So it soon adds up. And I think a lot of the perception around alcohol and alcohol consumption and issues with alcohol, or, you know, you have to be legless dancing on a table, or you're sipping out of a brown paper bag so no one can see. And it's not, it is just overuse of alcohol can impact on mental health, on physical health. Alcohol is the biggest cause of heart disease in this country. So there's loads of issues around that. But I'm not a stick in the mud in a party pool. You know, Stacey,
I'm not going to mention the last time I saw you.
I can take it like the best of them, but or maybe not.
I think it's safe to say, just listening to you, you know, we can tell you're an expert in your field. And the person that nominated you, or the nomination that came in, should I say, it spoke about this mission that you're on to improve employee health and well-being. I think that's definitely come across today. It talks about your nursing skills, which, look, again, you know, we've covered alcohol, we've covered smears, and, you know, boob checking and everything else, and everything, all those kind of things that are important to women. But also, you know, you look at men's health as well. So the fact that you've said that nursing skills is what is absolutely needed to tackle these rising problems, I think is phenomenal. You know, you are doing a cracking job at the minute, and I know that you will keep on doing that. So let's bring in our next guest now, because otherwise we're going to be sat chatting away, and these people in the green room are not going to be too impressed that we haven't called them yet.
Get them in, the more the merrier.
Exactly. So we're going to go to somebody that I've never met before now, and that is Tracy.
Hi, hello, Stacey.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm really well. Do you know, one of the reasons I wanted to do this was to encourage more women to jump onto Zooms like this, but also to find some really awesome women. So I work with a lot of men and women, but we can always start having conversations with more people. And obviously you were nominated, and I always love it when I get to read about people that I don't know and I've not come across. And I've heard some wonderful things about you from your nomination. I'm not sure if you're aware who's nominated you, but
well, I was a bit shocked because your initial email had gone into my junk box, so I only found it on yesterday.
You're not the only person.
So I had no idea about this until I got a bit of a nudge from somebody.
Which I've nudged her to say, go and tell her to check her junk mail.
Yeah.
Tracy, tell me about you, what you do, and then I'm going to tell you about that nomination.
Well, I'm probably a little bit different to most of the people you've interviewed today because I run a guest house in Colwyn Bay, North Wales. And unlike a lot of people who could pivot their business come this time last year, you can't really pivot and put your beds on virtually. So it was a little bit like, what we're going to do. And we've been here 6 years this year. And I have been growing my social media awareness and the platforms and everything that I do. I've come across Emma and Vicky before, and just by networking. And I think I watched one of your lives earlier, and you were saying about networking and how you become connected to people without actually really realizing how that happened. And I've got a lot of that connection now. And yeah, I've just been a bit visible throughout the last 12 months to welcome people to Colwyn Bay.
Brilliant. And yeah, you touched on that. You have been closed throughout lockdown, haven't you? Are you seeing a light at the end of the tunnel now? Are you getting geared up and prepared, ready to reopen?
It's going to be a little bit weird. We've been very, very lucky. We got a license from the council so we could stay open to help essential workers and key workers. So if anyone was working in the area, so as long as it was essential travel and essential that they needed to be away. So we've been really, really lucky and been able to stay open and help accommodate, which a lot of people have been like really pleased that we were willing to do that. Because otherwise they couldn't have come and helped another business, or we had one guy that he brings prescriptions and things, and he wouldn't be able to do that if he didn't have anywhere to stay. So we've been lucky on that respect, but then just sitting on the back burner waiting to be able to go, yeah, everybody can come and stay. And at the moment here in Wales, we don't know yet when we're going to be able to be open.
Yeah. And I've got some friends who live, and Michaela that was on earlier, actually, she's in Wales, and I always forget. And the laws are slightly different, and they were in lockdown before us, but then they were out, and it was it's really interesting to see how different parts of the UK are doing this. But you raised a really good, the thing you were talking about this supply chain almost of key workers and things like that. I think Emma's just fell off a chair.
Alcohol. No, my specs are terrible, so I'm just trying to fix that.
You were saying about we all sort of clap the key workers, and we are all obviously really appreciative of them. What we don't realise is that chain of other people that are helping to keep them going, which has been, it's been really interesting. I remember the first lockdown, I rang my dad and said, how are you finding lockdown? Do you need anything? He said, oh, no, I'm still going to work. I'm thinking, hang on a minute. You're over 60. You've got a collapsed lung. What? I hear him thinking he could possibly be shielding. And he said, oh, no, I'm still going to work. We're actually classed as key work because they supply the NHS with, I'd like to tell you I knew what he did, but something to do with machinery and presses, coils, I think. So, I never knew. And I was like, wow, this is really important. Who knew? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, now you've talked about that. I'm going to talk about your nomination, and I think, like you said, you were nudged yesterday, so it was Diane Ivory that nominated. Who's watching this live because I can see she's put, I love these ladies. So,
oh, bless her.
Knows everything.
She'll be resting.
Well, I think she's probably watching it from her bed because she was really struggling earlier. Bless her. But your nomination, Tracy, it said that you've had a really hard lockdown with your business, and like you said, you're not able to pivot really. You can't give those beds virtually. But what Diane said was lovely is that you recognised that there were others out there that could be struggling. And I've got to go and investigate these lives now, because she's talking about your Facebook lives where in the mornings you go out and you walk your dog and you are doing lives for other people. And I think that is so lovely because, you know, I'll be honest, I've hardly done any walking during lockdown. I left myself in my office with my head down and carried on. But actually, she's, you know, the biggest thing for me, she said, your smile is infectious. Your social media content, and we've talked about this a little bit, has really helped others. So honestly, when times where you could have buried your head in the sand and you could have, you know, thought, right, I'm shutting my doors, I'm hibernating for the lockdown. Actually, you've really thought about others, and you've shared and you've helped them smile and laugh and stuff as well. And I know Diane is really appreciative of that, as are probably your other watching folk as well. So I'm going to go and check out those lives later.
Well, I can't believe I'm still doing them. It started off just as I'm on my walk, everybody's stuck indoors, not knowing what's happening, where they're going to be going, and I did a video to start with, and then it just started going live, and it's nearly 12 months I've gone live Monday to Friday every day. I think I had Christmas off.
Well, later on, I'm going to drop the graphics with your nominations in the chat below. Please do go in there, all of you that are watching, and share your links and where people can find you, because you are an awesome bunch of ladies. So much so, I'm going to go to the next one. Now, I can see, I'm hoping I can see this person because I'm not sure her camera is on. Nikki, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you not see me? Let me stop and start the camera again.
Do you know, we've had some issues with cameras. We've had some issues with audio. Let's see if we can get you on. In fact, while you're doing that, well, there we go. How are you, my lovely? Oh, no, now we've lost your audio. No, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we are good. Honestly,
oh dear. I've had to quickly switch the webcam off because I normally use the webcam, but it's obviously not liking this platform.
Well, StreamYard, who knows, eh? It's just been overused today, I think, I would imagine.
Possibly, yeah.
So tell us about you and what you do and who you are, because I kind of know you but don't know you.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? We both know of each other. Stacey and I did meet each other briefly. I don't know if you remember, Stacey, going back 3 years ago at the Women Who Awards. So yes, and how fast and time evolves. But so I'm Nishi Mehta. I'm the co-founder of two-sided business, Career Moms, which supports moms to return to work after having a career break, which is a social enterprise. And I also co-run a business called CM Talent, which focuses on helping employers to attract, retain and develop gender diverse teams. So gender diversity being at the core of that. And we work with corporates to kind of help them to look at various initiatives and close their gender pay gap. And that kind of is in different shapes and forms, but essentially that's kind of what we do.
That's awesome. Like, and you know, one business wasn't enough, so let's have two. And that's really kind of
it's interesting, isn't it? Because it makes it sound like you're like, you know, got all business, but they're very interrelated. So the social values part of the business is not for profit, and we really help people that over the years that really do need support with confidence and motivation to get back to work. And I guess CM Talent really grew from that in terms of it's lovely to support women, and we know through COVID have been disproportionately affected, but actually there's a responsibility from organisations to invest in working parents and carers, not just parents, and ensure that there is a kind of there's a constant talent pipeline, and women aren't missed out on opportunities because they have had to be the ones that have had children or take responsibility for caring and so forth, because we know that they do tend to get the lion's share of those responsibilities through their lifetime.
Yeah, and I bet you've seen and heard many things that you could share with us on International Women's Day, but also, you know, like you say, throughout the year, you must be right in the thick of it there. I remember my previous company was a networking group, company, Mums in Business, and you know, just hearing those stories, and you know, you talked a lot there about giving them the confidence and the self-belief, and we've talked about this a lot today on the two previous lives. You know, it's been amazing to see women that will quite happily go out and share it, and even self-nominate, which I think is the most incredible thing to do. And then the other end of the scale, where they're thinking, no, you can take it back, I don't want to know, I'm not up for, I shouldn't be on this panel of women, and I just want to get them and hug them and squeeze them and say all of it's all right actually, and you are worthy. And you know, I've worked with women that will maybe have a big corporate career, but then suddenly they have children, or like Emma said, menopause or something hits them, and they go, I don't want to do this anymore. And that's, I mean, you must really kind of see that, and like you say about maternity and getting them back into work, there's some real touch points there that you really focus on.
Absolutely, yeah, and I think that's the kind of the bigger picture. When we look at statistics, and people who take time out will tend to go for lower paid, lower skilled work, because flexibility is kind of the top thing, isn't it, really, around working around children. So yeah, we see all the touch points. I think the confidence, the motivation, going back to your point, Stacey, there is that I guess that's the soft skills that really people need to work on, and the foundations to get that right. Because if any period of time away from work, those are the two things that I guess get the most affected, and that self-belief and is really critical, isn't it, to that return to work journey. Because I think there's lots of providers out there doing lots of, will help with your CV and LinkedIn. That's all fantastic, and that's really great, and be able to help. And that's part of our service. But I think the confidence and the motivation are the two essential things, really. And I think even if you've had a period of time away, because we do a lot of maternity coaching for employers, large employers, people who have a year off, and some have been furloughed and coming back to work, they feel quite detached away from what's happening in the world of work, because it moves so rapidly, doesn't it? We take a few weeks off, we have to think about our password again, don't we, to get back into the computer and so forth. I do anyway, I don't know about you, but it's sort of, and absolutely, and I think the relationship that you have with your employer, your team leader, can be very different depending on their experiences and their outlook on having time off or coming back in a flexible way. And actually that kind of, not all organisations are, even though they showcase the diversity inclusion flag, are necessarily that inclusive. And I think they're the ones that we need to kind of think about and call out. And you know, on International Women's Day, kind of the challenge part of it, it's quite brave to do that as well, isn't it?
It is. It absolutely is. So you actually got 2 nominations.
Oh, did I?
I know.
Was that from you, ladies?
So, yeah, you got 2 nominations. And what I will do is, as I say, I'm going to share the graphic, and I'm going to share the actual nominations with you. But I have been saying I'm not going to read them all out on here, because it would be like War and Peace, and I'd get all emotional. We have had tears on 2 of the lives before. So I'm quite upset that no one's cried on me yet.
We've still got time, haven't we? We've got time.
Yeah, Vicky, when Vicky comes on, I'm going to poke her in the eye or something, so that, because, you know.
And so do I find out who those nominations are, Stacey, at some point? Yeah,
I'm going to let you know. But what they talked about was the respect that you have, or they have for you, your drive and your focus and your passion to support working parents, but not just working parents, but the employers, on closing that gender pay gap. That was a big thing, that gender pay gap. You know, the one that a lot of men tend to say doesn't exist, that one. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, it has been put on hold because of COVID last year, and there's a 6-month leeway again for this year. So
I put a social media post up.
Did you?
And watched the backlashes. All the men told me there was no such thing. So it was an interesting conversation. But they didn't see, and I am generalizing here, not all men, and I think that's really key to them.
Absolutely, yeah.
I've been tagged into some wonderful LinkedIn posts and Facebook posts from men that are absolutely shouting about women and their role models and things. You know, there are still some that
definitely
don't realise that, you know, there is a need for these days. And obviously that's, you know, why we're here, and we're going to educate them, and we can do what we can. So yeah, just keep doing what you're doing. As I said, the support that you give to people. I'm a working parent. I get the whole mum guilt thing. I get what you were saying completely about once you've gone off on maternity leave. You know, after my second child, if you'd have interviewed me, I could have told you about In the Night Garden, Teletubbies. I could have, honestly, over that hill and far away, that was where my brain was. And it took a while to get back into this. Where is my position now? How can I be a mum?
Yeah.
How can I do this? So yeah, it's been brilliant talking to you. Stick around if you've got time. If anybody needs to dive off, by the way, feel free to skedaddle and whatever. But we do want to keep you talking.
Can I just say before you move on to the next person? I know you've got lots to go through, but sorry, what's the new lady's name?
Nishi.
Nishi. Hi, Nishi.
Hi, Emma.
Hi. I just wanted to. I mean, you made some really great points there, but so my focus is in the tech sector, and there was a study done in 2019, and it showed that out of the respondents that were parents, so 52% of the workforce that were parents, 36% of those did not return to their current company after maternity or paternity leave. You know, industries can't be affording to lose this amount of skilled people, so they need to be doing so much more. I think it'd be really great to have a conversation on.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like this networking thing.
Networking is
Look for that. Right, we'll definitely get connected with you, because there is lots of synergy there. And I just use that word synergy, that I don't know.
I know, it's like using pivoting, isn't it? But we have to do it. Sometimes it explains what we need to say.
I came up with a word earlier, right? Because I used pivot 2 or 3 times, and I could hear myself shaking. I hate the word. I think it was diversify, so we'll go with that one as well. Although it is getting late in the day, so my teeth probably need changing in a minute. Right, we're going to bring in the next person. Who's it going to be? There's only 2 more left to bring in. It's Dawn. She looked up. Hello, Dawn. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
This is the second call we've been on today, isn't it?
It is.
Not bad for
Long ago.
Oh, bless you. And so, Dawn, tell us a bit about you, what you do, and where people can find you.
I'm Dawn Davis from Apples and Oranges. We have a telephone answering service, a manned web chat service, PA service, and lots of things in between. We're based in Somerset, and we look after a lot of people across the country. Lots of businesses doing very, very different things. But the main thing is, if they miss a call because they're doing what it is they do, making their widgets, that could be the next big client. They've hoped and prayed that they would respond to the marketing and everything they've done. When it comes in and it gets an answer phone, you know, people don't respond to answer phones. They don't want to leave a message. 75% of people won't leave an answer phone message. People are scared. People are scared of the phone, let alone leaving a message on an answer phone. So it just is that buffer between the company being able to expand, develop, work on the business, and not leaving any stone unturned, because everything's covered. I've got a meeting all day tomorrow. It doesn't matter. Everything is covered. So we take payments for people. We book appointments. We plan routes. We do lots and lots of things for different people, and it just lets them free them up to do, you know, to be able to invoice for the things that they do.
and that is brilliant. And actually, so I was just going to say, you are the voice, the answer phone service, whatever you want to call yourself, the powerhouse behind so many businesses that I know of, let alone the ones that I don't know of. You know, I'll be working with a client and they'll say, "Oh, don't worry, Dawn answers my phones," and I go, "Oh, another one to tick off the list." You know, like, honestly, talk about world domination. I reckon we're going to get to the point where
when we get one client phoning another client,
and it's
coming through us, and they just don't know.
Do you know what? It works with social media clients too. I've had comments, and I'm thinking I'm talking to myself here. This is very true. But you are. I mean, you are kind of behind the scenes for so many businesses, and you are not from. I mean, I don't know you extremely well, but I know you through a lot of people, and you are not somebody that kind of shouts about yourself and you know. If we're talking about Independent Women's Day, what am I on about? International Women's Day.
Another one then.
I'm really pleased that you got nominated, because you kind of quietly go about your day helping all these people, and it is brilliant. So your nomination was very much based on that. The person that nominated you said you work like a Trojan. Now, I don't know how many people are in your office that you are organising, but you do work like a Trojan. And they actually called it out as well. They said you're always in the background working like a Trojan. You are never in the spotlight, and you should be in the spotlight because you absolutely should be shining. And you're worth your weight in gold because your help and support is second to none, and you give to so many. So they were some really lovely words for your nomination. And like I said, there are a lot of people out there that think, oh, I'm just behind the scenes, or oh, I don't deserve this recognition because it's the people that I work with that deserve it. Actually, like I said to Tracy, there's this supply chain and all these little cogs that fit together. Like, people could not function without people like you. I just honestly hat off, Miss.
Well, it's funny because the very nature of what we do, we're a secret. So lots of companies that we deal with, we've got national companies that we deal with. They don't have anything to do with their customer service at all. We do all their tickets, we do their review sites, we do their all their phones. They don't do any of it. But I can't tell you who it is, can I? And they're not going to shout about actually apples and oranges to all that one. So it's quite a weird situation to be in, because I could go, yes, we deal with. Oh no, can't tell you that one. No, I can't tell you that one. Oh, better not say that.
It's almost like she works for MI6 or something. We'll never know. We'll never know.
We'll never know. Yeah.
She's answering the phone to James Bond.
It's funny. I worked in recruitment for a long time, too many years, and some of the things that everyone said earlier. I used to go to client visits and be told, do not, under any circumstances, send me an applicant who is a woman between 27 and 35, for example. That might have changed now because I've been out of it since 2007, because people are having babies later and what have you. But that was a stipulation, and you'd say, I can't do that. Well, put it this way, Dawn, if you send one, they're not getting an interview. It was that.
Wow.
Some people were.
Emma, I could just see Emma's face then. She was ready to jump down.
Absolutely. And I guess it still happens, doesn't it? It still happens.
They'd want you to put an advert out with these, the various different terms, and you say, you can't say that, that's sexist. And that's it. And that's what I want, and if you don't get it for me, you won't get the position. Oh my God, come into this century.
Sorry.
We've got Tracy throwing things. We've got Emma looking really mad. We've got Nishi. That's
I think it's more hidden now. That's the difference, probably slightly. I think discrimination in the workplace around, especially kind of moms coming back and having children, are discriminative on lots of fronts.
Do you think that's because it's now quite talked about compared to what it was?
Absolutely,
that people know that they shouldn't be saying it or doing it, but they still are.
They still are, absolutely. And if you think about kind of child rearing age, yes, it has increased, but equally, there's the band has got wider as well. So you could be from any age from 20 plus all the way up to sort of potentially 50. So it's how long can that exactly? It's quite scary sort of discrimination as well, isn't it? Really? So I just scare some 50-year-olds then.
Yeah, you scared me.
Someone can take on board the fact that you're not a full person. You're not capable of that because you're running a home or you've got children, so you couldn't possibly be intelligent and do stuff. And that's quite sad. When you talk to some people, they wouldn't go to networking with men because they feel inferior. Oh my gosh, don't be silly. You're capable to go and do this. Don't show them. They're just a person. Don't see them as a man or a woman. They're a person. And if you've got a connection there that they believe in what you can do and you can offer them such and such solution, they should not see that you're a woman or a man.
Do you know what? I agree, and it's absolutely about surrounding yourself with the right people and the positive people. And going back again, talking about International Women's Day, the majority of the men that are on my news feeds and things like that are really supportive. You get the odd one or two, you get the odd comment, you know, and that's not really who I want to associate with. And I was chatting to my coach the other day, and he was saying, you want something done, you absolutely go and find a busy mum, because they are going to do it. They've got time skills, they've got organizational skills, all that kind of thing. Whereas I can remember a few years ago, my previous business partner saying to me, oh, I had a call with a potential client today, and it was all going really well. And just as we were about to secure the deal, I mentioned being a parent, and he there and then said, you will not do this job. You can't cope. It will not be a priority. And he didn't take he did not secure the deal based on the fact that she was a mother. Everything else. And I just think, wow, that was probably 3 or 4 years ago. And, you know, we really need to kind of drag these people.
I think the sad thing is that whether it's written down or not written down in job adverts and descriptions, there's still that unconscious bias that goes on, and
absolutely,
eradicated from the workplace. We're never going to stop that gender bias, sadly.
No, I've just brought Vicky, who is our next guest, because I'm sure she's got lots to say as well. But we are going to, what I really love about this one is that we've had the conversation as we go, which is really good. Vicky, hello and welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me here. I've been absolutely loving listening to this conversation, and I'm just kind of so pleased to actually come and join you, because I just think, yes, ladies, yes.
Let's get in. Right, let's hear more about you first before we keep this conversation going, because it's been really great to kind of just talk about all sorts of different things. What a fabulous bunch of ladies. Vicky, tell us about you, who you are, what you do, why you're here. I'm not going to poke you in the eye, really, by the way.
So, well, I'm very humbled to be here. There's some amazing people. Thank you, Stacey, for actually organising all of this, because I think it's been great. It's like the women, so amazing, awesome women that are being celebrated through this. So thank you for what you've done with this. I'm Vicky Head. I'm primarily a commercial and branding photographer. I work all over the place, photographing people essentially for their businesses, their websites, their marketing materials. Doing a real package of things. There, front covers of magazines, yes. And but other kinds of photography as well, and I teach photography. I teach people who just want to know how to use a camera, and I teach college and degree students. And so I do all kinds of photography, but one of the things that really fascinates me as well is how women appear in photographs. And how often women are guilty of not being present in images, because often you'll find in family situations, the mum will be the one with the camera saying, no, I don't want to be in the picture. I need to get my hair done. I need to drop a little bit of weight. I'll have my picture taken then. So often you find women are very guilty of not being present. And ultimately, your loved ones don't care if you've got a bit of a double chin or you've got your roots showing. They just want to see happy smiling faces. But also something that's really important to me is how women are perceived. And for my degree, what I looked into was gender stereotypes that we have in society, basically the percentages of women in business, in politics, and how they're impacted by the use of images in the media and in the press. And the impact that then has on how seriously women are taken, how it continues stereotypes that are fairly archaic. We think we've moved on, but in many ways we haven't, you know. And the statistics were kind of quite shocking, you know, when you think, the times have changed. In many ways, they really, really haven't. And the portrayal of women in images and how the kinds of images that are used can do a lot of damage to women's credibility, especially if they're kind of in positions of power in business or in politics.
Do you know, there's been a lot of talk about that today, hasn't there? With the whole Meghan and Harry interview, you know, are we going to watch it tonight, aren't we? But obviously it aired last night in America. And and I have to say, I'm keeping stum at the minute, because I have a view, but I also have another view. And I'm like, I'm not quite sure where I'm sitting with this, because I want to believe her and I want to, you know, stick up for everything that she's saying, but I'm not quite sure I believe her. And it's like, yeah, I'm being pulled. And so one thing I do know is the press absolutely do hound people like that. And like you were saying, the the way they are portrayed and things like that. You see it all the time. You know, if a female MP says something and, you know, the male counterpart was to say it, it would be taken completely differently.
Yeah.
And, you know,
I know earlier on.
Fascinating.
Yeah, I was listening to some of the lives earlier on, and I know you were talking about, for instance, sort of, you know, I think with Sian about, you know, if you're a Miss or a Mrs. or a Doctor, and how to, you know, difference in way people take this. And I think it's with images. I mean, the research that I did a lot of looking into press, into media, where women just weren't present visually. Literally, there weren't pictures in various sort of different papers or publications when you come to things like business and politics, or where things like, for instance, I think some of the time I was doing research, Hillary Clinton was campaigning, and she might appear in the papers, but on the same page as Naomi Campbell in Agent Provocateur underwear, just for no reason other than the fact that she looked good in it. You know, there wasn't a purpose, but essentially what it does is it detracts from the credibility that the female politician will have. The press have been guilty of things. A few years ago, there was the new female cabinet members catwalk that I think the Daily Mail ran, that essentially judged every new female member of the cabinet on her clothes, their shoes, basically, and the winner was the one with the skirt with the biggest split in it, you know, essentially.
And you don't get that, do you? You don't get that with male politicians. I do not open a paper and see a page, whatever, with a male catwalk going on.
There were a few parodies done just to show how ridiculous it is when you've got, you know, somebody saying, "Oh, look at his grey suit," or, you know, and so this is to highlight, you know, how ridiculous this is. But I think we're so conditioned to seeing these kinds of things happening. It's really easy for it to sort of go unchallenged, and it just sort of slides into how we are as a society. And I think for me, one of the saddest things I hear sometimes is when I hear women saying, "Don't worry, I'm not a feminist." And I think, like, why would you say that? Why would you say you're not pro equality?
Yeah, there's so many things we could talk about here, and there's so many things that I quite happily would get on my soapbox about. Definitely ones about media, you know. And I was looking at some stuff the other day, and you know, we could go on to these, call them what you want, fashion magazines, trashy magazines, soap opera, whatever it is, and the way that they use, and the way that, like you say, women imagery is on there, but also the stories that sell, things like that. But one thing I really am passionate about, and obviously I work with a lot of social media, so I have a 13-year-old daughter who is, I'm glad she's not massively on it, to be honest, but she's getting to that age where she's going to start wanting to be. And so I think it's really important that people are real on their social media, because there's so much fake stuff. And the other week I was listening to, it must have been before lockdown, so it wasn't the other week. Time's just lost with me at the minute. But obviously,
with all of us.
It was at a time where people were still going out on a Saturday night. And I just remember hearing about this kind of 15-year-old girl, and she'd done all her makeup, and it was, you know, she was glammed up, and she took her selfie, she's put it on her Instagram. Right, I'm heading out with my mates, it's Saturday night, we're doing this. And actually, the actual story is that she took that picture, she put it on her Instagram, she took her makeup off, and she got into bed. And I thought, how sad is that? But actually, how many of her friends are doing that as well? Because they're all living this life of, oh, we should be out, we should be made up, we should be doing stuff, we've got to have our friends on a Saturday night. And it's just, it's really sad for me as a, you know, I think I was probably the last generation that didn't have social media growing up, but now pretty much lives with it every day, kind of thing.
I think as a mother of girls, you know, it is really, I find I've got two kind of grown-up daughters, and I had a conversation recently with my youngest daughter who's living in New Zealand. She's just been working recently in a wine warehouse, driving a forklift truck about, and in a completely male environment. And we had a conversation about, there was a lot of, you know, the kinds of jokes and banter that you might expect in this, you know, completely male environment where she's the only female. And she had a conversation with her boyfriend, basically saying, you know, if it gets sexist, you need to be my ally. You need to support me rather than just let things go, because this is how it continues when nobody stands up and speaks out and says, do you know what? Actually, that's sexist. And I love the fact that I have these strong women for my daughters, and that she's there kind of doing her own little bit of education, you know, going forwards.
That's awesome. I'm the same as Stacey. My daughter's 16 this year, and at 13 she had no idea of social media or Snapchat or anything like that, and now I can't get her off it. TikTok, Snapchat, it's a nightmare.
And it's worrying.
No, I was only going to say, for girls, there is this in magazines, you know, there is so much Photoshop, there is so much editing, there is so much, you know, the perception of how people look, and so much focus on, you know, look at glossy magazines, the perception is how much cellulite have you got on the beach for this celebrity or that celebrity, you know.
And that's still the case, isn't it, all of the time? It's interesting, Stacey just gave that example of that teenage girl, but the people viewing those Instagram pictures just being envy, won't they? Going, oh my gosh, her life is so perfect, and that just perpetuates and continues. And that happens all the way through women's lives. When you have a baby and it's like, look how amazing I'm doing, and you're like, well, I haven't slept, and it's like, you know, so it's all, and it just carries on, doesn't it? In that sense, you actually got to really make it real. I think that what you just said there was really important, the real bit.
Yeah, you've got to be real, and I don't get me wrong, I'm a nightmare. I'm one of these people that will not leave the house without makeup on, and I am this, but I learned that from my mum. You know, my mum wouldn't even go next door without her makeup on, and so we learn these things. So it is massively important as you know, these strong, powerful women that I've had today, and we have talked a lot about the next generation and future generations and things like that. And we're only ever going to change this world by teaching them to be strong, and you know, and it's not just teaching our daughters, but our sons as well, and
very much
making sure that, Vicky, you just touched on it, making sure that they are allies for women, and that they will not stand and let women just be pushed to the side and stuff. So
yeah, awesome.
For sure.
It's like time, isn't it?
I know, and it's like it's nearly 7 o'clock, and I've got another one of these at 8 o'clock. So I'm not going to let all you ladies go, because otherwise I'm not going to have time to do the bits in between. So as I said, what I'm going to do is on the Business Success Network and Magazine Facebook page, I will go and I will drop your graphics, your pictures, and I'm going to share the nominations on there so you can see them all.
Awesome.
And then just share it away, and I will definitely. There's so much stuff we can do with this and with each other and networking, and just.
I felt very surprised and delighted actually to get that through, to get a nomination.
I nearly fell off my chair.
Me too. I thought it was a spam one at first, and then, and then I read it again, and then I thought, oh, okay.
So what have we all got in common? I tell you, we're all undervaluing ourselves, aren't we? Because we probably all felt the same thing. I'm sure that's me.
Someone actually said to me, "Oh, I deleted it because I thought it was just spam." I was like, "Charming."
Well, it's funny that, because I've had a nomination for a Tech Innovator Award.
Oh, wow.
I'm like send information, and I'm like keep saying like, when are they going to ask me for money to like pay for this award? You know, those award ceremonies that are so rigged, like who's got the most money, or
I did
every day I'm like trying to Google them and search them. I've not found any dirt on them yet. I've messaged a few people as well and said like, hey, I don't want to be offensive, I seen you won an award last year with this company, did you pay for it? Needless to say, not many people have not messaged me back, so maybe that suggested they did, or they're highly offended. But you know, just like you say, that it's, you know, we just have that imposter. I don't like the word imposter syndrome, but you know, we're just always a bit like, oh, well, why would they say that?
Yeah,
what's the motivation?
And don't get me wrong, it is good to check out these things. I know there's people that have said to me before, can you check out these awards, are they legit? And yeah, there are so many out there that aren't, but actually praise yourself, Emma, and go with it, because it sounds like they are legit.
Yeah, maybe.
It's nice when it comes out of the blue, though. I had one last year that came out of the blue that I didn't know. They just scour about and find people, and that was lovely. You know, when you just. But I know what you mean. You're this kind of suspicion that you have initially. Yeah.
Yeah, I think because that's what it was. Nobody's nominated. They've just been looking around and said, "Oh, we've come about your company and what you're doing." And
yeah.
But the bonus to that is that you were working in tech. You said that they are your target audience. So you're obviously doing something right, because you're not a traditional tech company. You are, you know, like you said, you're a nurse, your workplace health.
But I am officially I'm a tech business myself, because it's a health tech company. So yeah, interesting.
It is. It's. Oh, sorry. Go on. Who was going then? Anyone?
No, sorry, it was me laughing. Sorry.
Oh. Laugh away. I've been told about your infectious laugh and smile, so you're more than welcome.
I wanted to say as well, is it Dawn? It's
Dawn, yeah.
Dawn, yes. I can't see your name because of the sound. Dawn had said about the job adverts, and I had seen one last week. It wasn't necessarily about women, but it said must have a high tolerance to stress in the job advert. And I thought, oh my God, what's wrong with people? It's you causing the stress.
Absolutely. So if you created that advert and you're looking for people with a high tolerance to stress, go and speak to Emma and do yourself a favour. And she'll find you a not stressed person looking to get back into their career. Oh my God, ladies, it's been an absolute pleasure. I am going to end this now, because otherwise we will still be here at 7 o'clock tomorrow night. And actually, I've just realised that my kids are probably waiting for their dinner. So it never stops, does it? The fun never stops. Do check out the comments, because there's been so many great ones as well. There's lots of love for you guys.
Oh, brilliant.
Thank you so much. Nice to see you all.
See you all soon.
Bye.
Bye.